This is the way an average prison looks like. Now here's what Brazilian drug lord Jarvis Chimenus Pavo prison cell looked like. His cell in Paraguay's Tacumbu prison wasn't just a cell, it was a fully furnished luxury suite. We're talking about a 3-room setup with a private conference room, a plasma screen TV, a library, and even a kitchen. He had air conditioning, cozy furniture, an ensuite bathroom, and a DVD collection. If no one told you it was a prison, you'd probably mistake it for a high-end bachelor pad. Of course, all that luxury came with a price. Pavo had to pay a one-time fee of $5,000 plus a $600 weekly rent to get his exclusive wing. But his reign of comfort didn't last forever. Authorities got wind of his elaborate escape plan, which reportedly involved blowing a hole in the prison wall. That little stunt got him swiftly relocated to a much less accommodating part of the facility. But Pavo isn't the only prisoner who turned a cell into a VIP suite. And believe it or not, some prisons don't even need a rich inmate to upgrade their facilities. They're built to be luxurious from the ground up, offering a level of comfort that most people on the outside wouldn't mind having. So, which prisons take serving time to a whole new level of luxury? Let's find out. Let's begin with what's often called the world's most humane prison. Halden Prison in Norway is just totally different from traditional prisons. This place is so unique that it's been featured in documentaries studied by prison reformers. And honestly, if you didn't know better, you might mistake it for a high-end Scandinavian retreat. Located in a quiet forest, this prison looks nothing like the concrete fortresses you'd expect. Instead of towering walls topped with barbed wire, the perimeter blends seamlessly into the surrounding woodland. The architecture is stunning. Sleek, minimalist buildings with expansive windows that flood interior spaces with natural light. It cost an eye-watering $252 million to build when it opened in 2010, making it one of the most expensive prisons ever constructed. Each inmate gets a private room that's about 10 square meters, complete with stylish wooden furniture, a comfortable bed, and a private bathroom with an actual door. No grimy, cold stainless steel here. Inmates even get keys to their own rooms, allowing them to secure their personal space. But it doesn't stop there. Groups of 10 to 12 inmates share communal areas that include fully equipped kitchens and living rooms. But what really sets this place apart is the recreation options. Sure, there's a gym, but it's not just some rusty weights in a dimly lit room. We're talking professional-grade equipment, a rock climbing wall, basketball courts, and soccer fields with pristine artificial turf. And then there's the music studio, a full-on professional recording space where inmates have produced actual albums. Add an art studio packed with high-quality supplies, and you start to wonder if this is really a prison or an artist's retreat. Perhaps the most surprising thing about this facility is how the guards operate. No uniforms, no weapons. They share meals with inmates, play sports with them, and engage in actual conversations. Many are trained in counseling and conflict resolution rather than just security. As one prison official famously put it, if you treat people like animals, they'll behave like animals. Rehabilitation is at the core of everything here. Inmates follow personalized schedules that include education, vocational training, and therapy. They can earn degrees, learn trades in high-tech workshops, and even work in a grocery store within the prison to gain retail experience. Everything is designed to set them up for success after release. But Norway didn't stop at just one ultra-luxurious prison. There's another one, and this time, it's not in the middle of a forest, it's on an island. But before we get to that, let's take a look at HMP Addiwell in Scotland. Opened in 2008 in West Lothian, this privately run prison has built quite a reputation for its unconventional approach to incarceration. And by unconventional, we mean it's so structured and comfortable that it might make some budget hotels look bad. Instead of spending endless hours locked in a cramped cell with nothing but time, Addiwell's 700 residents follow a structured week packed with 40 hours of purposeful activity. That's basically a full-time job dedicated to self-improvement. The prison proudly calls itself a learning environment, but don't let that modest description fool you. This place offers comforts that would make some budget hotels envious. For starters, the accommodations are surprisingly modern. Instead of cold, gray, concrete cells, inmates live in residential houses that feel more like a secured campus than a prison. Each room comes with a private shower and a flat-screen TV, luxuries that are almost unheard of in most prisons. The real standout feature, though, is Addiwell's Purposeful Activity Center, a hub for education and vocational training that would impress even outside prison walls. Here, inmates can learn everything from culinary arts in well-equipped kitchens to construction skills in professional workshops. There's even a fully operational hair salon where prisoners can learn barbering and styling. The prison's recreation facilities don't disappoint either. A modern gym with quality equipment allows inmates to maintain physical fitness, while various sports courts provide opportunities for team activities and healthy competition. But now let's shift gears from well-designed prisons to something even more outrageous: luxury cells built exclusively for the ultra-wealthy. One of the most infamous examples is Artalita, Suryani's 5-star prison cell in Indonesia. This one made our list because, frankly, it was so extravagant that it barely looked like a prison at all. In 2008, Artalita, a powerful businesswoman known as Ayan, was convicted for bribing a top prosecutor with a cool $660,000 to shut down an investigation into a major financial scandal. She was sentenced to 5 years at Jakarta's Pondok Bambu Women's Penitentiary. Sounds like a tough break, right? Well, not exactly. While most inmates were crammed into overcrowded cells with barely enough space to stretch, Artalita lived in what can only be described as a luxury apartment inside the prison. Her private cell was huge, roughly 26 by 26 feet, making it bigger than some studio apartments. It had air conditioning to keep Jakarta's tropical heat at bay, a plush double bed with a spring mattress, and a flat-screen TV for entertainment. And if she ever felt bored, that's no problem. She had her own karaoke lounge attached to her cell. But that's not all. Unlike regular inmates who had to endure shared bathrooms, Artalita had a private one. She even had maids and assistants catering to her needs, and her adopted child lived with her, taken care of by a full-time nanny. It was a lifestyle that most people outside prison couldn't even afford, let alone imagine in a penitentiary. Of course, none of this happened by accident. The extravagant setup was a direct result of Indonesia's deeply corrupt prison system. By allegedly bribing officials, Artalita turned her punishment into a VIP experience. She had unrestricted access to visitors, could receive beauty treatments, and even had a private office decked out with leather sofas. Her secret paradise remained intact until January 2010, when a presidential task force conducted a surprise inspection aimed at cracking down on judicial corruption. What they found was beyond belief. Instead of a typical inmate, Artalita was lounging in her luxurious suite, getting a facial treatment with specialized cosmetic equipment. The discovery sent shockwaves through Indonesia, sparking national outrage over the blatant inequality in the justice system. The fallout was swift. Authorities transferred her to a standard shared cell, stripped her of her privileges, and launched an investigation into the prison officials who enabled the scandal. But while Artalita's early prison life was ultra-luxurious, she still had one major restriction: she couldn't leave. That wasn't the case for Tommy Suharto. His prison wasn't just luxurious, it came with freedom of movement. He could go anywhere he wanted, making his sentence feel more like an extended vacation than actual punishment. In 2002, Hutomo Mandala Putra, better known as Tommy Suharto, the youngest son of Indonesia's former President Suharto, was convicted of something far more serious than bribery. He had ordered the assassination of Supreme Court Justice Syafriuddin Kartasasmita. And why? Because that judge had sentenced Tommy to 18 months in prison over an $11 million land scam. Instead of serving his time, Tommy vanished, went into hiding, and orchestrated the murder of the man who dared convict him. When authorities finally caught up with him, he was sentenced to 15 years in prison for murder, illegal weapons possession, and evading justice. Sounds like a brutal fall from grace, right? Well, not really. Instead of rotting away in a maximum security cell, Tommy was living it up in Cipinang Penitentiary's exclusive Block H, basically the VIP wing of the prison. His 8-by-3-meter cell was nothing like the grim, overcrowded conditions most inmates endured. Instead, it was more of a private suite. Wall-to-wall carpeting, a cozy sofa, a sideboard. And that's just the basics. He had a television, a fridge, cooking utensils, and an air conditioner to keep him cool in Jakarta's sweltering heat. Oh, and just in case prison life got too inconvenient, he had access to a laptop and 2 mobile phones. Tommy's privileges didn't stop at luxury living. The man was leaving prison whenever he felt like it. Officially, these outings were for medical parole, but in reality, he was out playing golf at elite courses in Jakarta. And if that wasn't ridiculous enough, he even had a helicopter landing pad, meaning he could just fly out of prison for a quick getaway. Eventually, word got out. The idea that a convicted murderer was living in comfort and casually stepping out for a round of golf didn't sit well with the public. Outrage exploded. However, no real consequences followed. Tommy's sentence was quietly reduced, and after serving only about 4 years, he was released. Just like that. Because if there's one thing his case proved, it's that in some parts of the world, money doesn't just buy luxury, it buys freedom. Speaking of prisons that don't feel like prisons, remember that island prison in Norway I mentioned earlier? Yeah, now let's talk about it. It is the Bastoy prison. This place isn't just a prison, it's an exclusive island retreat. Seriously, if you saw Bastoy prison without any context, you'd think it was a luxury eco-resort. Located on a breathtaking island in the Oslo Fjord, it looks more like a holiday destination than a correctional facility. Instead of cold concrete walls and metal bars, inmates live in charming wooden cottages scattered across the lush landscape. And we're not talking about basic shelter here. These are cozy homes with personal bedrooms, shared living spaces, and kitchens where prisoners whip up their own meals using fresh ingredients, some of which they grow right on the island. But it gets even better. The amenities at Bastoy would make plenty of free citizens jealous. The prisoners can have a horseback ride along scenic trails. They can try their hand at fishing in the pristine waters surrounding the island, tennis lessons, beach volleyball, or simply sunbathing on sandy shores during summer. It's all available to the approximately 100 residents, many of whom are serving time for serious offenses, including murder and rape. Now, before you think it's all leisure and no work, Bastoy actually runs as a self-sustaining farm community. The inmates don't just lounge around all day, they take care of livestock, grow organic produce, and maintain the grounds. But let's be real, tending to horses and harvesting vegetables under the open sky is a far cry from breaking rocks in a prison yard. The freedom here is almost unbelievable. No towering fences, no watchtowers. Guards don't even carry weapons. They act more like mentors than enforcers. The only real barrier is the icy waters surrounding the island. Sure, inmates could try to swim to freedom, but let's just say Norwegian fjords aren't exactly known for their warm, welcoming temperatures. So anyone who tries to swim will end up dead. Sounds like Norway is spoiling its offenders, right? Well, not exactly. The logic behind this approach is simple. Treat people like humans, give them skills and responsibility, and they're far more likely to act like responsible humans when they return to society. We'd love to hear what you think. Please leave your comments, hit the like button, and subscribe if you haven't already.